This video, my name is David Thorne. This is now the 6th video in my Docker Basics video tutorial series on YouTube. In this video, we're going to be talking about how to run a local web server, just basically a basic website on your local machine without having to worry about having any web server or anything like that installed, just solely using Docker, and that is it. Now, we're obviously going to use a web server in Docker, but we don't have to worry about installing this stuff on our machine. So with that said, let's get started. Okay, so let's just have a look what we've got inside this directory. And as you can see, I've just got an HTML directory, and let's just do a little bit of tree HTML. And you see there's an index.html file in there, and inside the HTML file there is hello world from index.html. So our task is to be able to run this on a web server using port 8080, all right, and to be able to do a curl request to get hello world from index.html. So with that said, let's get straight into it. We're going to use docker run, and we need to know that this server runs in the background, right? So once we execute this one command, it's going to keep running and running and running, and no matter how many times we change or edit our index.html file, it's still going to be showing or reloading that information. Okay, so we're going to do -d to say, hey, keep running in the background, please. All right, and what we're going to do now is we're going to say -v, and what we need to know is where we're going to send this one data. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to pull first of all, and I'm going to have to give you a quick insight how to do this. In the last video, I showed you about the Docker image inspect to see where the working directory is. Well, we want to basically see something different now in the Nginx one. All right, so we're going to say docker inspect Nginx and see what we see in this now. And inside of here, we can see it's listed on port 80 first of all, and we can now see what else can we see. We want to see where the actual, I know where it actually is, but I'm just showing you where the volumes are, right? And the volumes, did I skip by it? It has no volumes on there at all, right? So we know that it hasn't got a working directory and it doesn't have any volumes. So we're going to have a deeper look into this. And once you know this information, then it becomes actually quite simple, right? So with Nginx, we want to know where the configuration file is, and we want to output the configuration file, right? So we can do this literally just by saying docker run --rm to say delete this once it's done, and we're going to say then ls, and we're going to say here etc nginx, right? And it's going to show us we don't have any sites enabled or sites available in there. We just know we've got a conf d. And if we run this again, we know that the default.conf is what is here. All right, so this is what we need, right? And now we can come here and we can say default conf, and all we're going to do is we're just going to cat this out to see where we need to go. And we can see that we've got the root is then this here, user share nginx html. So this is where we need to go, right? User share nginx html. So we can now run docker run d, and we want to say map the HTML directory in this folder to user share nginx HTML. This is where we want to put this stuff inside this one folder, all right? And once we've done this, we want to be able to map port 8080 to port 80 on that one machine, and then we're just going to run nginx, and this should be done now. So -d is run it in the background. And we also want to say --rm to remove it once it's finished. And we run this, and we know that Docker, we know that the Nginx has been pulled already. So now we can say curl and localhost and then port 8080, and you can see we get hello world from index.html. And if we want to then just come in here and update our hello world from index.html and say goodbye from index.html and save this, and we run our curl once again, and we get goodbye from HTML. Now you could run this in the browser, but really there's no need because we're just showing you how to install it, but it would work exactly the same. So we can see here that it's up and running on port 8080 and mapped to port 80 here. It's been up for 47 seconds, right? And the image that is there, and it has just a random arbitrary name right now that Docker gave it to them. So if we now stop this container, so Docker stop, and we say this one's sad, and we run Docker container ls once again, and we say -a, you can see that it's been removed, as we said, --rm, but the contents of the one directory and the contents of the index.html is the same. And so we now know that if we run localhost 8080, yeah, it can't connect to it because there's nothing listed on port 8080. So this is how you run a local server on your one machine without having to worry about having actual server technology running on your machine. Now, if you don't know anything about Nginx, then I would suggest you look at some other videos that I have talking about how to configure and run Nginx. It's super easy. With that said, thank you very much for watching this one video. If you do have any questions, feel free to put them in the comment section below. Why not think about giving me a like? Give me a dislike if you want to, but I'd much prefer you tell me in the comment section why. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao, and goodbye.